Review Bloodborne. Okay, sure. Let me think about it for a second. Really enjoyed it. First off. But I'm sure it's probably from his last stream. All right, so Bloodborne. I hated the beginning. I hated
Imagine
it.
you're five. Yeah, that's what keeps me going.
It's supposed to pull up a clip. Like, it pulls up a clip and it shows a clip on the screen, but all my, like, video integration and image integration for XSplit is not working right now, and I don't know why. It does this every once in a while. So normally I just refresh all the sources and then see if it works. It doesn't. It doesn't work all the time, so. All right, anyway, Bloodborne. I hated it at first. The beginning area especially, I found myself getting lost because a lot of the textures kind of blended together. And I still don't really know how to navigate the beginning of the game. Maybe if I picked it up again later at some point, I would just remember where to go. But I don't know, it's just kind of messy. I feel like they reused textures a little bit. I don't know, it's kind of tough. And the beginning's a little boring with the weapon selection. Like in Dark Souls, you can just, you can kind of like, not cheat, but you can go run somewhere, grab a cool weapon you want, and then run back to where you're supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know. So the beginning of Bloodborne, I didn't really enjoy all that much, but I kept at it because I kept hearing it was really good. And then, like, base game towards the end and the DLC were really, really good. The environments and the enemies, and I don't know. It was easier for me to navigate. And I think the only thing I mildly didn't like was I missed a key. So there was like a whole area of the game with an optional boss that I missed until the very end. And by the time I went back to it, I was over leveled as shit. And it took me like 10 minutes to beat it on stream. It was like right before I beat the last boss when I found this area. You hate running out of heals. I had to farm a lot because they want you to use the rally system, the rally mechanic. Josh will complain about it all day. Josh will complain about it all day. I'd never learned how to rally really until like the end of the game when you have to use it, or else you'll be farming heals all day. Like I was farming on stream and it was boring as shit. Yeah, you're supposed to rally and get your health back, and you're supposed to play a little more that's the goal. You're supposed to play a little more aggressively and heal only when you need to or whatever. And use the guns. The good thing about, I didn't put any points into my gun stat period. And the good thing is you don't need to use the parry system. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the parry system. Obviously, I didn't learn it as well as I should have. I kind of treated it a little more like a normal Dark Souls game where I got a big sword and just put a bunch of points into strength and smash things, and that's it. That's what I'm used to. And like, there's some bosses you can't do that for. Like the last boss, like the last couple, like the last hunter. All the hunters really, I struggle with them because you have to use the parry system. Get your visceral attacks and all that. But I don't know. I feel like I still struggle with, like, even in regular Dark Souls games, like learning what moves an enemy uses that you can parry and what moves they use that you can't. Like the same thing for Bloodborne. Like there are certain moves you can shoot them and get the visceral, and there are other moves where you just can't. You got to run and do spacing, and you can't shoot them. And you just got to learn by dying, I guess, which is frustrating. But I mean, I don't know, Dex. I did Dex already. Anyway, but okay, so boss-wise, I think Bloodborne might have some of my favorite bosses, especially design-wise. The last boss was my favorite. The optional alien dragon thing I fought was cool. Elden Ring is still up there though. Elden Ring's probably number 1, but Bloodborne's probably number 2 boss design wise, I think. The music was good. No complaints there at all. I think my only complaint is that most of the time there are too many sound effects from the bosses to let me actually enjoy the music, and I'm just panicking and running around. I didn't say reused content, like the literal, like the rock, I don't know how to explain it, like the rock textures and the brick textures and the pathways, especially in the beginning of Bloodborne, they look very similar to me as far as like how I read it when I'm playing it. So I kind of got lost. Like I got lost a lot in the beginning. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about other games. But yeah, it got better. It got better, especially like the DLC. I think the DLC was a little more, like a lot more polished, I feel. Just layout, enemies, yeah, I don't know. It just sucks that it takes you a minute to get to the good stuff for Bloodborne. Like the beginning, like arsenal of weapons are kind of boring, except everyone just told me use this one specifically, so I used that one and it was better than whatever. Like I picked the axe at the beginning and I didn't like it, so they told me to just use the cleaver or whatever, and that if I wanted to, that could have carried me to the end of the game. Now I compared it jokingly to like every other Dark Souls game because I know they reuse a whole bunch of assets. Yeah, the DLC is super important for Bloodborne. If it wasn't for the DLC, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Rich. Thanks for DLC. It was good. 2 sword man, light armor, finely skilled sword. All right, I'm going Dex, I guess. Fine. All right, yeah, the cannon I was a little sad about. I didn't realize that Blood Tinge was specifically a gun stat until very late, really. And I think that's what you needed to have it do more damage. You need more Blood Tinge. And I didn't put any points into that, so the cannon sucked. You think you want a shield after Bloodborne? I don't like shields.